automate the PowerPoint. Okay, let's see what these activities are and how can we use them. Okay, so I want everybody to create a new project and name it as PPT Automation. Okay, once done, I want all of you to create a PPT on your desktop or anywhere, uh, just a PPT with any name, for suppose test, and add one slide to it. Okay, maybe type RPA test.
Please show your screen.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry. Okay, is my screen visible now?
Okay, okay.
Okay, now to start with the PPT automation, what we will do is we will create a new project here. We'll create a blank task. We'll name it as PPT automation. We open it. So, and meanwhile, after you do this, you have to create a PPT, a dummy PPT on which we will experiment with the activities that we have and just add one slide to it, any slide, and name it anything. Just insert some text and create a PPT with one single slide. Okay, are all of you on the same page now?
Okay, ready.
Okay, Jira, have you created the PPT? Opened the new project? Ruangdate, what
Okay,
about you?
wait a minute.
Ruangdate, have you created the PPT? Okay, okay. So I think everybody is on the same page now. Again, okay. As we already have seen for all other types of application, the first part, the first step is to drag the resource activity. In the resource activity, we drag and drop the use PowerPoint presentation. And here we select the presentation that we have created just now. We will work on that presentation. Okay. And we refer it as test PowerPoint. Okay, so now everybody gets when and why do we rename the reference as. So whenever we have to use multiple same files, as in when we have to use multiple Excel files, we need to have a differentiating element there. That is the reason we rename the reference. So when we worked on the April expense file, that is why we renamed April Excel as April Excel and the annual Excel file as annual Excel. So that whenever we have to call or whenever we have to indicate an element, we are very much clear on to which Excel file do we have to refer to and where do we have to create, where do we have to indicate. Okay. So here I renamed it as test PowerPoint. Okay, now I have a number of activities here. Okay, so now let's just try out some of them. So first of all, what I would do is I would add a new slide. Once I drag and drop the add new slide, uh, okay, just give me a second. Okay, so now when we drag the add slide activity, uh, Okay, the first thing is presentation that comes automatically from whatever the resource activity is. So this comes as test PowerPoint. Now we have the slide master. Okay, slide master would be default. We do not have any such master file. Then we get to choose the layout. We go to presentation and we here we can see all the layouts that are even present in the PPT. So if you open the PPT here and if you add a new slide, you also get to choose which layout do you want, right? Similarly, you get this in the UiPath activity. So from here, for example, I choose comparison layout. Okay. Then I have an option to save it either as a last slide, or if I want to add somewhere in between, I can give a number over here. Since right now I just have one activity, I add it as a last slide. Okay. Once done till here, what I'll do is I'll run the bot and check if my new slide is adding or not adding. Okay, let's see. Okay, I have a new slide added. Were you guys able to add the new slide?
Sorry,
Okay.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's try a copy paste slide. Okay, again the this thing remains same, the resource remains same. Then slide to copy. Okay, I have to copy my second slide and destination remains same, and where to insert, I would give it a number as 3. Okay, let me give it number 1 so that I can see. Okay, okay, let's try. Okay, see, initially this was my first slide. Now what the bot did was the bot copied my second file, which was the comparison slide on the first index. Okay, okay. Now let's try and delete a slide. Okay. I want to delete the first slide, which is the comparison slide. So I go here, I go to number, I type 1, I click on save, I save the code and I run it. Let's check. Okay. Now I have this slide as my first slide again. Okay. Are you able to do it? Okay. Let's try and replace text. So, initially, what we have written was RPA test. Now I want to replace it with mm, the text has been replaced by the bot. Okay, and I run it. I go and check on the PPT and the text has been replaced. Everybody following me till here? Okay, now let's try add file to the slide. So I have to add it to slide number 2, and I select here slide 2. In slide 2, where do I have to paste it? So I have to paste it in content placeholder 3. And what file do I have to replace is I will add the project notebook XLS file. Okay, and I will label it as file. Let me run and see what happens. The file is added here. Are you able to add the file? Okay. Anybody who wants me to repeat anything?
Yes, repeat please.
Yes. What do you want me to repeat? The addition of file?
Yes, add file.
Okay. So we go to our studio. I remove this. I'll add it once again. I drag and drop the add file to slide activity. Once I have it here, I select which slide do I have to add on. So I have to add it on slide number 2.
Okay.
Okay. Then I choose where do I have to add it. So when we select, it shows us the types of content that we have there and where we can add those items. So maybe I'll add it at text placeholder 4. Okay. Then I
Okay.
choose which file do I have to add. So I choose any random text file, any random XLS file. Then I go
Okay.
to text and I name it as file 2. Okay.
Okay.
Then I
Thank
save
you.
it. Then I run it. And this time you have the file here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Okay. So just like Excel or Word, we have all these replacement techniques, activities. We can delete, we can add, we can remove things, and this is how PPT automation is done. Okay, so anything that you want to ask, anything that you want me to repeat till here, please tell me now, and we'll go through it once again. If you have any doubts about data extraction, about how to use Notebook, about word automation, email automation, browser automation, anything, if you have any concerns, we will address it right now. Okay, so should we move ahead? I need a yes from everybody on this.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Now comes validate and analyze your projects. So, okay, let me show you. So what does the validate tool does? It finds out all the activities which are maybe incomplete or which are placed at the wrong place. So when for example, I drag and drop an Excel activity inside the PowerPoint resource activity. So it gives me an error. Okay, right now the error that it gives is because this both these fields are mandatory. I need these two files in order to get this activity work. So whenever we have these type of exclamation marks on our activities, this is what the validate feature does. It basically shows us what is necessary, and without them the bot cannot work. Without them the bot cannot execute that particular activity. So this is what the validate tool helps us do. And also, even if we have one single validation error, we cannot run our bot and we cannot publish our bot until and unless all the validation errors are resolved. Okay, we basically highlight them through these exclamation marks only, and majorly they are because of the incomplete activities. Okay, like some fields that are required, and we do not give in values for them, we do not assign them anywhere, we get this error. Even we get this error in activities like get text. So if we are getting the text and we do not save it somewhere, then it would show us an error. So if I get text, okay, this was just an example. So for get text, we need here and use browser container. So whenever we use get text there and we highlight an element and we do not save it, it would show you here a validation error, because when you get the value, you have to save it somewhere, you have to use it somewhere. So that is needed for the bot to work. Okay, do you want me to repeat? Okay. Okay, then comes analyze. Okay, with analyze we have a lot of best practices that UiPath asks us to follow, and in order to follow those activities, we have this. In order to follow those best practices, we have this workflow analyzer which shows us where are we going wrong or where are we not following any of the best practices. So if you go here to analyze and you open workflow analyzer settings. Okay, so you see here we have the first thing as empty use Outlook account activity. So if you are dragging and an Outlook activity, okay, let me show you. This is email. Delete this, delete this. I minimize it and I use a blank use Outlook app activity and I analyze it. Okay, what does it show me? It shows me empty use Outlook account activity, right? And this shows me as in yellow exclamation mark, which is the warning symbol. Now, how do I change it? In the analyze, I'll go to workflow analyzer settings. I can change it here. If I changed it to error and I do it okay and then I analyze it. See, now this time I have it as an error. So basically, these are some best practices or these are some guidelines that we have to follow. So, for example, when I work with one client, they have different set of instructions that they give me to follow. They have different coding standards that they need me to follow. So I change my analyzer rules according to those coding standards so that once when I am done with my code, and when I analyze it, I can see where on what places have I not followed all those rules, or when I have not considered those coding standards in my code. Because we being we being so focused on the output and on the bot to work, we at times forget about how do we use them in the best way, or how do we rename them, or how do we create the bot in such a manner that anybody who wants to use it after us can use it. So this helps us follow, this helps us maintain all those things. Okay, the result for this analyzer is always shown here on the bottom error list tab. Okay, do you guys get it? Do you want me to repeat? Anybody who wants me to repeat it? Permsak, are you good till here? Ruangde, did you get how and when do we use analyzer? Okay, great. Okay. Okay, now comes some of the best practices. So, whenever we have a lot of steps, like when I gave you the task to automate changes into three different Excel sheets, I asked you to create one group for each sheet. So, this is what it shows, breaking the bot down into a sequence of steps so that we can easily see which group has which type of steps, so that whenever we need to debug, or whenever we need to check for any changes, whenever we need to make changes, we can navigate to those particular activities with a better speed, or we have a better clarity. Our code is distributed in a way that it gets easier for us and for others to understand. Okay, then comes suggestive namings. So whenever we have a lot of same activities that we use, whenever we use maybe modify text 10 times, so we make sure that we rename them. Maybe we rename them modify text, and for suppose first of all we have to uh, replace the hyphen button, the hyphen text. So what I'll do is I'll rename it modify text hyphen. Then when I have to replace commas, I will rename it to modify text commas. Similarly, I would rename every such activities which I have to use multiple times, so that whenever the bot throws an error in a particular activity, it gets easier for me to see that where is that error, that in exact which activity are we getting that error. If we do not rename such activities, you would have to check it again and again as to which activity is giving you that particular error. So we make sure whenever we use a lot of activities repetitively, we rename them so that it gets easier for us in the future. Okay. Okay, and similarly, whenever this is something that we have practiced, whenever we use multiple types of files, as in whenever we use multiple files of one type, we change their suggestive namings in the reference as box, so that when we refer to one file, we are very much clear to which file are we referring to, just like we did it in the April report, in the April and the annual report. Okay, just like we renamed them as April Excel and annual Excel, we rename any and every file that we find the need to. Okay, then whenever we have a huge flow, and it is always considered as a best practice to add annotation for activities that we use. So that, for suppose today I know the process and I am creating the workflow. I am creating the automation workflow, so it is easier for me. But for suppose tomorrow I am on leave due to some emergencies at my home, and when somebody else refers to that code, he wouldn't be able to get why we did what we did. So it is always considered to be as a best practice to add annotations to every activity, so that even if we do not have to use our code and somebody else has to use that code, even then the code is very much understandable. The code is descriptive enough to justify each and every activity, to tell the other person why we have used them and how we have used them. Okay, do you guys follow me till here? Do you want me to repeat any of the points? Anyone? Okay. Okay, then comes close all Excel application before running a project. Yes, this is something that we have done, we have faced. If we have the Excel already opened, the bot does not work on it, and we make sure we close any such applications before running the bot. Okay, we use the local notebook to perform any data manipulations. So even when we need the file name, just the file extension, we want to reduce the number of decimals or anything, we make sure we use the local project notebook. And yes, we do not save any values in the project notebook, so that it is easier for somebody else to refer to what does it do, how does it work. So we do our work from in the project notebook, but we make sure we do not scribble around. We use it and then we store it back to its original state, so that anybody else can also use it, so that even we can refer to it later on, and use it just like we used it in the first go. Okay.
I have
uh,
some question.
yes, tell me.
Uh, Project Notebook can use bot
Hmm.
work with parallel process.
Sorry, repeat.
Project Notebook can use in parallel process for bot. Robot can use it in parallel process.
For another process.
Parallel.
I do not get your question exactly. Can you write your question in the conversation tab?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Do you mean parallel process?
Parallel รักออก
Okay.
เสียงให้หน่อยรักออกเสียงหน่อย
Yeah.
parallel process parallel process
Okay, parallel. Okay, what do you mean by parallel? Do you mean you can use one project notebook into another process
Yes, same time.
at the
Lot.
same time? No. So every process has its own project notebook. So even if you see, we do not give the file path or anything. That is already inbuilt in the studio itself. So every process has one project notebook to itself. You can make changes to it and then it can be used.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then it is you should constantly check for the input data to be correct. Okay, so whenever we have a input data and we process some activities onto that input data so that it gets converted into a presentable format, we should always make sure that the input is what we expect it to be. So whenever we take an input, either you can use a message box or you can write it somewhere in the Excel or you can write it in some of the text file so that you are sure that the input is correct and you know that what activity would result into what outcome. Okay, so it is very important to check in the starting and during the development of the process that we constantly check if our input data is coming correct or not. Okay, then in order to check how our bot is working or how the bot is executing the processes whenever we have a major decision or whenever we have major modifications, we make sure to check them in a message box. So, for example, if I have a huge process, I have maybe 15 activities that I have to perform on my input data, and you keep on coding them, you keep on building uh, the sequence for these 15 activities, and then when you run it all together, your output is not what you desired. So how will you check it? My Even this approach is used by everybody. I think even I use it most of the times whenever I do not get something as I expect it to be, or whenever I think I should check how that activity is behaving. I always print the output of that particular activity into a message box. Okay, because if we print it in the message box, we can see whether that output is desirable or not desirable, whether that activity is working in the way we want it to work, or do we still need to make changes. So it's recommended to use it more so that you do not have to navigate it to it. So that you do not have to navigate again and again through all of them. Okay, so that you know that which activity worked fine and where do you have to check for it not working in the desirable way. Okay, so usage of message box is very necessary, and we use it as a debugging method. Whenever we do not get where the activity is, where we are going wrong, we use message boxes in between of our activities so that we know till where the bot is working as we planned, and from where it is not working to according to our plan. Okay. Then, as we build huge processes, we make sure we test each and every part. So, once I am done with one part, I run the bot and I see whether it is doing that task properly or not. Similarly, when I do the second part of the project of my task, I would make sure I run the first and the second part together to see if it is coming down to where I wanted it to. So it is better to test our project in after every small interval or after every small task that we have executed. Okay. Anybody, any doubts in the best practices? Okay. Jira, clear till here. Pumsa, clear till here. Panumas, clear.
I'm clear.
Okay. Okay. So this is the end to the training session. Any questions, any doubts, anything that any of you have from the starting that we started 2 days back till now, please ask me right now. Please ask me now and we can resolve it. Yeah, tell me. The complete project, which complete project? So, okay, wait. When you say any project, maybe I'll open any of the tasks that we have done. Is that okay? Complete project. So even you are saying complete, right? Okay. So, okay, you mean complex process. Okay. 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 Even okay. Let me see. Okay, give me a minute to see if I have anything that I can show you right now.
The project create on the Studio X can open with the Studio.
The Studio X process can be opened in Studio,
Yes,
but
yes.
the Studio code cannot be opened in Studio X.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Ruangdate, I do not have any complex process on this here right now. When I'll share the recordings with you, I'll make sure I attach at least one or two of the complex processes in it. Okay, welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. You want me to give a demo on Uipath? Uipath, by Uipath, do you mean Uipath Studio? Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. I can do that. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Any doubts? Anything that you want me to go over once again? Panumas, anything?
No, not now.
Pumsak from you?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Ashira, anything from your side? Thanabaram? Tavine, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. No question.
Okay. Okay, Ruande, to answer your UiPath Studio, let me switch to UiPath Studio first. Okay. What do you want to know about UiPath Studio? Uh, Repeat once again. What type of conversation? Okay, so for UiPath, we to undergo the UiPath training, we have a 2 week training because UiPath is uh, a more complex software than Studio X, and Um, in terms of how and why can you ask your customers to use it? So it would be like we discussed the advantages of RPA in the starting as to why do we need RPA, and if it is about that, why do we use UiPath and not some other tool? So because it is easy for even a non-developer person to get into it, to check how it is working. So it is better, and even for the developer, he do not have to write the same piece of code again and again. He has activities for it, so he can just drag and drop. This reduces a lot of time that a developer needs to develop a code. So if your question is why UiPath, I think this is why I use UiPath more than any other tool, because it is easy, it is more of user interactive, and also I find all its integrations very smooth, as in maybe with Outlook or with SAP or with any other type of applications. The type of the type of integration that it has with all other third party applications, that makes the process very smooth. Did I answer your question, or were you asking something else? Okay, okay. Welcome. Okay, anybody else? Any questions? Anything? Okay, okay. I am sharing you a link for the feedback form. Please fill this up, and don't worry, you can fill it absolutely honestly. And this results, I cannot see who sent it to me and who chose that. So you are absolutely free to give your honest opinions on how did you find the training, and this is the link. So I want all of you to open it and fill it. Okay, once everyone is done, please write a yes in the or done in the conversation.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah.
Can I do it tomorrow?
Okay, but do it because this will not be this I will not as in this will be
Or do you
supervised by
want
other
to
colleagues.
do you want to resolve today?
I would like if you do it today because I need to submit all of these things.
Okay.
Okay, but it's okay if you cannot do it today, then please do it tomorrow.